This is Uncouth Tangents. I am your host, Dove.
And I'm B.
Welcome to the show.
Woo woo! This is just a breaking news.
You didn't even check my levels.
No, I didn't.
You have
There's
no
time.
idea.
There's no time.
There's
at
no
all.
time. Well, I hope it's fine.
It is now. Okay, that was way too loud.
For you.
For me.
I think I'm okay.
Yeah, you're fine.
I also still have the black lung, so now I can't breathe out of my nose, so I sound really nasally. But whatever. Sorry.
You sound exactly the same to me.
Sorry. I always have a nasally voice.
Maybe.
Screw you, man.
Inconclusive.
Oh. That's fucked up, though.
So yeah, the reason why we're recording is because...
Because we have a podcast and we need to do this shit? This is what we do anyway?
No.
No?
Because the only way I get to talk to you is through this podcast.
That
Because
is
you
not
won't
true.
talk to me anyways.
That is not true. I just said that we were going to change around our formula. I have some ideas. And it's okay. We'll get through this rough patch in our relationship. We'll make it through. We'll make it through.
Anyways, what are your thoughts and reactions on the latest Game of Thrones finale? Season finale.
Oh, man, there were so many things happening. There was so many things happening at different places that it was just so exciting to watch. Like, my nerd meter was just going off.
Nerdometer.
It was at its peak.
Yeah.
First of all,
Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it yet.
Okay, so this entire episode is basically the reactions of Game of Thrones season finale. So if you haven't seen it yet, just tune into this after you've watched it.
Go watch the episode right now. If you're driving, just pull over, pull up Netflix. The data caps are on you, but...
It isn't on Netflix, but...
Oh yeah, it's not on Netflix. It's going to be quite some time before it's on Netflix. Yeah. Anyways, it's just, it's streaming. It's streamable right now.
Right. So basically, this is not the show for you to listen into.
If this is your first episode, this is a bad episode to pick. If this is your first episode listening into us and you haven't seen the episode yet.
Okay. So
season 7 finale.
That's enough disclaimer.
Okay.
They get it now.
Dun, 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 dun.
Okay, so anyway, I'm kind of upset about Lord Baelish no longer being on the show because he was really handsome and I liked seeing his face. I mean, I understand that he did like a whole bunch of terrible shit and this was inevitable, like it was gonna happen. And I do like the way that he did die. If he was going to be cut off of the show, I mean, at the hands of the Stark sisters, I mean, that's the best way possible. And then Arya just slit his throat so quickly like it was nothing. Like she's about as dead inside as Bran is, just in a slightly different way.
I almost thought like she sneezed.
It was really
so fast.
It was really quick. So before it got to this point, I was really upset with Arya in how she was interacting with Sansa.
I did not like the fake outs, like this fake, I'm gonna kill you, maybe.
Yeah,
and then for this fake.
I didn't like it, but now that it's, it has come to his head that it was because of Lord Baelish manipulating things and by them finding out, which they didn't really say how they found out, if it was Bran that told them everything that went down, or a combination of Bran and Arya figuring it out, because she now has skills to be able to, I mean, she was spying on him while he was spying on her, and they were spying on each other, and so, perhaps she kind of figured out some things herself. So they didn't really touch on that part, but there was a little annoying in trying to figure out, like the reason behind Arya just being like a little snarky bitch, but I do like the outcome of how it all came about.
For me, Littlefinger is actually one of my more favorite characters in the books, and he's written like a moron through the series. Like, he's a master manipulator and tactician. Like, he's supposed to go toe-to-toe with Varys.
That's
as
what
far
I
as
thought.
like, yeah, but he's written like a complete idiot. Like, I'll sell you off to the Boltons. Why? I don't know.
Oh, in the show.
Yeah.
In the show, you mean versus his character in the book.
His character didn't do that. He actually really did protect her because he actually does kind of have feelings for her, so he would never put her in actual danger.
Well, you kind of see that a little bit, or you may think that a little bit in the show.
I just don't understand why he would sell her off to the Boltons.
Well, he knew that she wouldn't die in that instance. Like, it may be a shitty deal, but at least she would still be alive.
No, in the books, he's cleverly kept her hidden by not making her a major character.
Well, okay, so if you compare the books to the show, then I think you'll forever have that bias.
Yeah.
But as someone myself that didn't read up to that part in the books, I can kind of see sort of a point as to why he did it that way, almost like he didn't have a choice, or he didn't know how to finagle it any other way.
There's no need to have Sansa be a character that everybody knows is still in Westeros. Like, you could have literally just had her hiding out in the mountain of the Eyrie.
It's true. I mean,
like,
she could have went to Essos with fucking Arya
or
or anything. It was many possibilities.
Like, there's no reason for her, like, hey, everybody, Sansa's here. Like, there's no point for that to exist.
However, for the show, if that did not occur, then perhaps Lord Baelish would still be alive. So he needed to get his,
if they're gonna write him out, I mean, I guess this is fine. It's just, I was really wishing.
So disappointed.
Overall, I'm just going to get this out. I'm kind of disappointed in this season finale.
Why are you disappointed?
Benioff and Weiss, the two writers.
Because he's comparing it to the book.
Yeah, because you can obviously tell where they ran out of book material and they have to start writing their own, and they're not strong writers by themselves.
But they still have some influence with George R.R. Martin. It's like he is a big contributor to that.
Not in this part. He stopped contributing. Like, you'll notice he hasn't written any of the episodes.
Is that?
Yeah, he basically just told them the ending. And
so he gave them the main points, and so he said that these are the main points. This is where the story has to end up, and so as long as you get to this point, then it's fine.
How they're getting there is just, it's how somebody would write a fan fiction, because there's too many goofy, dumb things that they didn't really account for. Like, for instance, the Night King, what was his plan to get beyond the wall? If they literally did nothing, we'd all be fine. Like, because there's no way for the Night King to get across the wall. I don't actually know why Jon felt the need. Like, the wall was there. Like, there was no real way they were going to get across.
Well, there is the theory that the Night King would have gotten over the wall because he marked Bran. And so, because Bran crossed over from the wall, it broke the magical barrier that there was to keep him from coming across. So there is that theory. Don't know if that's true. We haven't really explored that much into the Night King, which is what the next season, the last season, is going to be more about. So perhaps we will find a definite answer to that part.
But right now, nobody knows that. Like, Bran didn't tell anybody, hey, since I'm over here, the Night King might have a way over here. Jon has never...
he may not have.
Yeah, Jon's never talked to anybody. He just thinks, I don't know, the Night King's going to get over here somehow. I don't know, man. Like, that wall's pretty good.
It was good.
Yeah, it's just, you now had to bring a dragon up there to die, and now that dragon
you didn't know it was going to happen.
I don't know.
That the dragon was going to die. Rest in peace, Viserys. He didn't know that, and he went over there in hopes to unite everybody to take them out for whenever they would come over, because everybody keeps saying winter is coming. The winter is the Night King and his dead folks that are coming over. So they don't really need to know how he's going to come over. And also another thing is that...
Actually, I think we do need to know. Because,
well, we're going to find that out. I'm just saying... He didn't need a reason, or he didn't need that part of knowing exactly how he was going to do it. He just knew that it was going to happen. Also, that wall doesn't even reach perfectly across all the way for that border. So
I do remember,
they could have had that in mind when you look at the map.
Yeah.
It's like on the right side of the map where the wall is, where the
But apparently they don't swim, so...
Right, so that way is out because that borders the sea on that side. But on the left side, there's a little nook. There's a bridge that they could have technically traveled to and gone around or under and made it down into the north.
Yeah, but you just set fire to that thing and they wouldn't be able to really cross.
That is a possibility, but that didn't happen. That doesn't even matter anymore. But I'm just saying.
There's like weird, dumb plot holes that didn't used to exist in the show.
It's but so much you could put in a TV show. Okay, so
but they're making it up. They have their own. There's no more material.
Right, but they have the main point, so it's okay. It's kind of like The Walking Dead. It's like the compendiums or the comics or whatever you want to call them. Those stories were amazing if you were to read them, and then when you look at the show, it isn't the same as the comics. But for me, it was still entertaining to watch the show because you got to see, for one, your characters being brought to life, and then two, another possibility of how things could have turned out for them. So even though it wasn't exactly like the comics, I still appreciated it for what it was, whether you think it's a good show or not.
We're in uncharted territory right now, so I can't complain about it not following the books, but I can complain about just characters not being themselves.
Oh yeah, you can complain about whatever you want.
Just how everybody is written, it's just really odd.
Okay. I don't think so. I had a great time.
I'm glad you did.
So I'll go to the next thing. So everyone kind of wasn't sure about whether the dragon was going to breathe ice or fire. So, or if it was going to be blue fire.
It's just going to be farts.
Or, like what it was going to be. And so I thought it was really cool to see that it was a blue flame. And he just destroyed the entire wall. And now we have to figure out if Tormund is still alive, which most likely he probably is. He's just kind of buried alive. Usually when they... I don't know,
based on last episode, they're too afraid to kill anybody.
Well, usually when a main character dies, you see their death. Like the camera zooms in on their face.
Not for Stannis.
To say dead. Cersei is now the Mad Queen, as she was before all of this. So how do you think that she's going to die? Do you think that, are you believing the theories that are out there?
Everything's out the window right now because I don't know if she really is pregnant or not. And if she is, that goes against the whole Valonqar prophecy.
That's true.
So if that goes against it...
Well, I mean, she may not have it, which means that the prophecy is still true because you would have to have that child in order for it to count. Like when it's still baking, it doesn't really count. So maybe she won't have it and maybe the prophecy will be true. I mean, I don't know how he's going to choke her out with one hand. I guess he could still do it with the left hand or with the mountain being in the picture of how that's going to go down. But she's out of there.
I don't know how because it seems like Jaime's traveling up north to fight.
Who knows? Right now that's what it seems like. It seems like he's going to uphold the end of the bargain that she said that they were going to do. They called all of the banners. They were going to assist everyone and go up north. So he may do that, or she may stop him. No idea. I do have a question, though. I actually have two questions. So one, I thought the Unsullied were trapped on Casterly Rock with no food, and they were going to starve. And so how did they just walk to King's Landing?
I guess so. I mean, yeah, it would take a long-ass time for them to get boats, or they don't even have any boats at this point.
It would take them a long-ass time to walk. Like, what was the span of time?
In all honesty, like, the whole show, time doesn't mean anything. Like, the whole country doesn't matter. Like,
that's true, but still.
This is what I mean. Like, these dumb little
I was a little disappointed in that.
Fragments. Yeah.
Of them just, all of a sudden, like, the last episode, or maybe it was 2 episodes ago, when the Unsullied had invaded Casterly Rock, they showed Grey Worm's face, like being disgruntled of, oh shit, the damn boats. And then all of a sudden he just shows up at King's Landing. I mean, it makes sense for the Dothraki because they were with her, but
can the Unsullied read or write? Because you need to send ravens out, and I don't know how they got the information.
Oh, I don't know. That's too much mental math.
See what I mean?
Part,
like, there's
well,
these,
I don't know.
dumb
That
things
part
that
right
the
there
show.
is a little too much mental. If they can read or write, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe. Yeah. But anyway, so that was one thing that was confusing. Of how are they all the way at Casterly Rock? Because that's on opposite sides, Casterly Rock and King's Landing.
If Gendry can run the entire length of their travels, I am not going to question how they travel through the lands.
I guess that's true.
Because Gendry just ran
I assume that they weren't that far, though. I assume that they weren't.
Well, if they kept breaking and having conversations every 2 miles, like,
yeah,
hey,
but if they...
I just wanted to give you the sword. I know we had all this time in the boat to do this.
Yeah.
But I just want to break right here.
I would say he at least ran about 5 miles or so.
It was like 5 miles?
Yeah, at least. Now, that's a good amount of distance. You can at least run 5 miles. I know because I ran 3 miles a couple of days ago. Oh, no, yesterday. Mm-hmm. And so I can see passing out at 5 miles, like tripping.
Especially in the cold.
Yeah,
and
tripping
everything.
From exhaustion after 5 miles. So that was one thing with the Unsullied. And then the other thing was, I was wondering why Tyrion was looking like such a creeper when Jon Snow was banging his aunt back behind closed quarters.
Yeah,
like,
I don't
why
know.
Was he watching the
I don't know why
like
we were
that?
given that perspective.
Like, it seemed so weird, as if, like, one, he could have either been, I can't really say jealous because nothing really hinted up to that point that he really wanted Daenerys for himself or something. Like, it's really obvious the way that they make their shots and the way that the characters interact with each other, that there's something between the two of them. And there was never really anything romantic between Tyrion and Daenerys. And so I can't really say that, oh, it's because he's jealous that he was being a creeper at the door. I could see if that was Ser Jorah.
Yeah.
And I could definitely see jealous looks from that character. However, I'm thinking that maybe there could possibly be a little bit of betrayal going on per his last conversation with Cersei, of what he said or how he shifted things around upon him speculating that she was pregnant or guessing that she's pregnant, or I don't know, some people say allegedly, or other people say that she's pregnant now. And so the fact that he thinks that she's pregnant, I'm wondering if maybe he struck some type of deal if he struck some type of deal and now he's going to end up betraying Daenerys. And it could be because there's this thought that because Daenerys is so-called barren, that there is no future to the throne. And he was adamant about that in the episode before. Like, he was thinking of, oh, well, who's going to take over after you? Who's going to be the next in line? If you're barren. Well, he didn't, this is verbatim what he said. If you're barren and you can't have any children, like, who's going to take over? And she's like, don't worry about that, man. We'll figure it out once I wear the bloody crown. And so I'm thinking maybe because he sees that Cersei is pregnant, that he can see that there will be an extension to the crown if his family stays in power. Because maybe he figured before that it's easy for me to switch sides over to Daenerys because, my sister, all her kids, my nieces my niece and my nephews are all gone. And so there's no future there. And so maybe there'll be a future over here. Oh, you can't have kids either. Oh, shit. So I'm wondering if that's it.
That could be, but I'm not entirely sure if that's what he's thinking, because that's too much of a betrayal, I would think, for him to, like, try and insert his own family next again.
Maybe.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, the Lannisters, they currently have the crown, so I don't know how he has any idea of how they would physically do it because of the military power that Daenerys has now that she's joined up with Jon. They're going to be...
It still doesn't really explain why he's creeping, because...
I'm trying to justify it. I'm trying to justify his creepy face of why he was creeping and listening in. I'm trying to justify it.
I don't know if it's because he doesn't think Jon should be king, because I think it's leading down towards that route. I don't know.
Maybe, but if Daenerys is the queen, then
She's gonna
she would
need-
be able to hold her own, regardless to who she chose as her king.
I don't know.
Maybe. It's so interesting. It's
Is
like a
it?
soap opera.
No.
It's
I don't
interesting
think
to
so.
me. It's just a Debbie Downer.
I am, because I'm
Well,
very
I don't want
disappointed
to say
in this.
Debbie because you're a guy.
No, Debbie Downer's fine.
Grumpy Gary?
That's way too long.
Okay. All in all, I thought it was an exciting episode. There was still a lot of things that I would like to see. Like, now I've gone down into the rabbit hole of all of these theories that people have, these fan theories of Missandei possibly being a spy, or not a spy, but possibly being the one to betray Daenerys, because we don't know that much about her, and because of her interaction with Sir Davos when he came on the land and asked about where she came from, and he was like, oh, that place has such beautiful butterflies, and there's this whole backstory with the butterflies and the poison and things like that. So people have come up with their own theories, but I don't know, we seem a little bit too late in the series for her to have any motive unless Grey Worm is thrown into the picture. Like, unless he's in trouble and she feels she has no choice but to save him by stealing the dragon and then, getting the dragon killed or some shit like that. I don't know. That was a little whispery. I'll speak up next time.
I don't know what I was going to say because I forgot.
I was so long-winded.
Yeah, I kind of
about
forgot.
this show.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember what I was thinking.
Okay.
I did remember one piece, and that is Quaithe, I think her name is. It's the lady in the red mask who
The
we don't know.
dominatrix with the red on.
I don't know if she's a dominatrix.
Well, I
she
mean,
might
she
be
had
just.
on red leather. I mean, come
I mean,
on.
that's a lot of people in Westeros.
Fair enough. Yeah, whatever happened to her?
Yeah, she's supposed to be this mystical person that seemed to be following her around and dropping hints. And I don't know if it's because now she's in Westeros, she lost that connection. But she seemed like she was going to be important in telling her important things.
Maybe, but I only saw her. How many times did she appear?
I think twice.
So I remember maybe it was the last time that she was on, or maybe it was the first time, but when they were in the shop before the poison got there.
Yeah, and she also gave her weird prophecy vision thing.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So she came in a couple times at like important parts in her life, and I don't know if she's going to show up again.
It. After the prophecy, you're like, well, told you all I could. Kind of like Maggie the Frog.
Yeah, that's true. But it just seemed weird that she would have this connection that she could enter her life. Maggie the Frog was just a one-time meeting.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I guess it seems like they also do that quite a bit in the whole series of where these characters or some characters are introduced and then they kind of just fall off and you don't really know where their endpoint is going to be.
Like Gendry.
Or if, well, no, Gendry you can kind of, there's tons
He told him to go row a boat and then murder
true.
I mean, big question where he was for a long time. Oh, it turns out he was right under everybody's noses.
Exactly, the best place. So with that one, we kind of came back around full circle, but he is a very big supporting character in that he is the last of the Baratheon line. Because I was wondering, like, when the show credits come on, because it's legally the Baratheon line has been shut down, like they're extinct, but in the opening credits they still show the Baratheon sigil. And so it made me wonder, I was like, oh yeah, Gendry, so perhaps there's going to be something bigger for Gendry later on, that perhaps he would, I don't know, take up the old Baratheon seat in Storm's End or something like that because of his loyalty to Jon and helping out. Plus he's a blacksmith, so he can forge all of the dragon glass, which they didn't show any of that, but
that's what I was hoping he would do, is that
it's the black lung, sir.
is that Jon would give Jorah his old sword back, and then Gendry would figure out a way to construct a dragon glass sword or something like that.
Well, then there's also that theory of
Azor
Ahai's Lightbringer.
Yeah. I don't know how Longclaw is supposed to become Lightbringer.
Well, it would just be a new sword, I guess.
Yeah.
A completely new sword.
That's why I was like, yeah, go ahead and give him your it's his family sword. Just go ahead and give it to him, because you're going to get Because, well, we're all assuming that he's Azor Ahai. It could be Danny. Danny
No,
could have.
which would suck for the both of them, though.
Mhm.
Whoever won is Azor Ahai, because through is it a prophecy or was it just some shit? No, it wasn't a prophecy because it actually happened. Because it's Azor Ahai
It happened
reborn.
once before. They're waiting for
Right.
the rebirth. It's kind of a religion. It's like waiting for Jesus to come back, but we don't know who the next Jesus is.
Right. So if they're going to follow that, which is interesting because it isn't really a prophecy, or maybe it is.
It is.
Oh, okay. I don't know the definition, but I was going to say that the prophecies, or that I was thinking of, was more so like Maggie the Frog, of seeing into someone's future, versus this where it actually happened in the past and it's just going to happen again. So I think that's where I kind of was trying to find a different definition or something like that. And so with that, if that is going to come to pass, we've seen that prophecies have been coming to pass, but this seems a little different. But if it is going to be true, then it sucks for either character, Danny or John, because someone's going to have to be Nisa. And how the story went was that Azor Ahai, the third time that he made his sword, he had to shove it in the heart of his wife, Nisa, in order to finish forging it until he could create Lightbringer.
Well, Jon Snow currently doesn't have a real beating heart, in my opinion. He still
Possibly.
has that.
Which would mean that he would be Azor Ahai, and Danny would be Nisa.
Mm-hmm.
Which would suck.
So there's this old interview that George R.R. Martin kind of gave. He basically stated that anybody who comes back to life is kind of a version of a white. So
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So that kind of means that John's a white, but he's a red white. Like, he's for the red god because he came back through that.
Right.
Same thing for Beric Dondarrion.
Yeah.
So that kind of throws a lot of things into like a weird play. Like, what does that mean? Does that mean he can no longer be Azor Ahai, or is he just another zombie, or can he be now controlled by the Night King, or what?
Yeah, I mean,
or is he claimed by somebody else?
I guess because he came back because of the Lord of Light, that he probably couldn't be controlled by the Night King, because the Night King has to bring people back in order for him to have control over them, so it seems. I just lost my train of thought.
So with the show
it was going somewhere, but
so with the show, like, the show doesn't usually like to touch on as many like mystical things as the book series
right.
does.
I know what I was going to say.
So, but like the way they had written John, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it was just blackness. There was absolutely nothing. That's it." That's what he said about his death. So I don't know if that's...
it wasn't... I don't know.
My theory is that he eventually takes out the Night King, but there's like a power vacuum, and he has to become the Night King.
There was another theory about Bran being the Night King, or also Jon being the Night King, and so Bran is... I don't know, maybe his job is just to tell things that people don't know. His job as a three-eyed raven is to fill in the gaps, even though he needed Samwell's help.
Which was dumb.
Well, not really. I mean, maybe he just didn't know what to look for. And he's a new three-eyed raven, so he's still in the internship phase.
Well, it also bothers me that he took the credit for finding out, like, oh yeah, I also read this passage or translated this passage or whatever, when it was like Gilly who called it to attention.
Oh, well, that's a minor detail. I mean, come on. Gilly's not there. I probably would have did the same thing.
Yeah, I did
She's not there. So, speaking of Gilly, there's also the thing... I didn't finish my previous thought, and I don't remember what it was. But anyway, speaking of Gilly, like little baby Sam... Oh, I remember what it was. It was about... what's his name? Dondarrion?
Beric Dondarrion.
Beric Dondarrion. That guy. And also baby Sam, how he has a role to play in all of this because he is the last son of Craster that was meant to be given to the Night King. Mm-hmm. And so there's still, because he's still in the series, there's still something with his character being there, and I'm really wondering how that's going to unfold, if they're going to allow that to unfold on the show. But because... the show has a budget. Every character on there kind of has a meaning if they're, staying on there long term.
they focused so much on John and Danny this season that I feel like all the other characters got kind of shelved. Like they didn't get as much good screen time to help establish where they were because it was all about the John and Danny show.
Yeah. Well, especially this last episode.
Yeah.
But the last few seasons, yeah. So maybe we'll figure out what his purpose is. There is one theory that the Night King needs to have Craster's son for some purpose, and so that's one of the driving forces of him coming over the wall. Mm-hmm. But there's this long-standing story that winter is coming, and with winter coming, that means that the Night King is coming, which has happened before. Has it happened before?
Yes.
Yes, it's happened before.
It actually was a Stark who was the Night King at one point.
Right, and so they need Stark blood in order to do some mystical, magical shit.
You're just making this up right now.
No, I'm not. And so they say, some have said that Craster has a blood relation to the Starks because of how he recognized John right away. Oh, you must be a Stark. Because of his,
I'm part Stark.
Because of his features, where for them to call attention to that has to have some type of meaning to it. So who knows? Maybe the Night King just want the baby back, and that's the reason for him coming over because of this long agreement.
Keys on the other side.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Because of this, because someone made a deal, Craster. It could go beyond Craster having this deal of how all of the sons are sacrificed to the Night King for some reason. Not just to leave him alone or whatever, but there has to be some reason behind all of that. And so that could be one of the reasons why the Night King is making his trip over the wall, because the baby is important to them.
Do you think the Night King is a purposeless evil? Like he's just... No. Or he has reasons?
He seems very calculated.
But what... Like... Calculated to do what? To just take over the planets?
No, it just seems like he's using just too much strategy in what he's doing. And we haven't seen that much of him, but I'll just take the example of when he took down Viserys, of where he had these spears with him. So how would he know to have these spears with him? How would he know that this spear was definitely going to take down this dragon? So there's some type of magical connection that he either has with dragons because he's also a magical being, or that I'm not really sure. However,
that's what I mean. Like, we're not sure what he's doing.
We're not sure, but it definitely seems, at least to me, that he's using some type of strategy to accomplish whatever he wants to accomplish, especially by using this, ice spear to take down.
But what do you think? What do you think?
And he's great in battle. I mean, like, who can spear a dragon in midair?
I think that was
Ron
magic.
couldn't do it.
But I just mean, like, what is his end goal? What would you say is his end goal? And that's why I'm like, it's just a purposeless evil.
Well, maybe because one thought would have been that one of his end goals was to take out the children of the forest because they were the ones that created them. However, they're all dead. So there's no...
Honestly, I was fine. I don't know why we needed to go across the wall.
Right, and so they were found... the Night King and his peeps was found at the area that the children of the forest had congregated in the past. And so he's already been there. Children of the forest are already dead. And so I don't think it's them anymore. However, it just seems like such a drop-off, especially for that location as well, for them to have all of those symbols drawn in various locations and then say, oh, okay, this is the location. And then for them to travel there, grab a white, and then roll out. And then that's the last that we see of that, because now the Night King isn't even there. He's, resurrected Viserys, and now he's over the wall. So it was so much with that symbol just for them to... And no one was really seemed like they were putting that together as a collective group.
So wait, what are you saying?
Remember that symbol?
Yeah. The spiral.
Yeah, the spiral that kept showing up, that was showing an important place, an important location.
Yeah.
So to me, it just seems like that location was important because that's where the Night King was created. because that's where the children of the forest reside. And was it dragon glass that they pushed into the first man's heart?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that was where he was created. However, there was so much attention to the spiral. And then Sandor Clegane saw the mountain in the fire. That's where they had to go. And so now that place doesn't have any more meaning because they've already been there, the people, Jon Snow and his group. And now they've left. And now the Night King has left that place. So to me, I'm just saying that it just seemed like it was so much emphasis on the spiral.
Oh, I just wanted to know what the Night King's plan was.
I don't know it. No, I don't know. That part, I don't know.
A simple no would have been fine.
I guess. I like to be long-winded sometimes. Especially when I sound nasally, so that we all get it.
I'm with you. I still don't know how to answer it.
It's fine. You can just cut that whole chunk out. I don't know, but I do think that possibly is to get the son back, the second Sam, the little baby, the Craster baby.
So he has Sam's, and then he just goes back up north, or
I don't know. He's like a magical baby.
I know this is what's problematic with having a non-speaking villain.
He needs to replace a brother that he's lost, and so he has to have
go through any means necessary
just to get the brother. Like the war doesn't even matter. It's like
winter
is coming to get my brother back, my baby brother.
It's just I don't know what his motivation is, and so it makes it hard to identify. It makes it hard to identify like why they're even having this war.
That's true, and I say that he's his baby brother because. They say that all or the majority of Craster's sons are the generals to the Night King.
What I think would be funny is if they just ignored the entire Northern army. Like, they just walk right past them and everybody's, like, really confused. And they head straight to King's Landing and kill every asshole that's in that place.
Starting with Cersei. Yeah. The Night King grows a gold hand and strangles her.
Turns out I'm your long-lost brother.
Yeah.
Boom, prophecy completed.
Exactly. Like, that's the first words he says. Boom, prophecy complete. Nothing else with that.
Just starts twerking. Yeah.
Where did that come from?
That's his victory dance.
Okay. But back to Beric Dondarrion.
Yeah, what was the whole point of what you wanted
I don't
to
know.
say?
But he possibly has a role to play in all of this because he said that he was brought back by the Lord of Light to take down the Night King. But everyone's saying that Jon has to take down the Night King. Beric Dondarrion has to do something a little more than, I don't remember the other guy's name, his homie that kept bringing him back, the Red Priest man. I don't remember his name. Yeah, exactly. So he has to have a better ending than him of, like getting him mauled by a bear and then freezing to death.
That would really suck if they were like, oh yeah, Beric died at the wall when it came down. That was it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I hope he does a little bit more than just get buried under the snow with Tormund. They're like, they see their frozen bodies holding hands. That's how they uncover them, dig them out. But no, I think they're still alive. I think Tormund's still alive, and I think Beric Dondarrion is still alive. I don't remember who else was in a group that was of any importance because they're... where's Gendry? Is he at the wall?
I don't know. He's just rowing a boat again. He just does what he does usually. Just rowing a boat.
Where is he? Well, I hope wherever he is, he's with ghosts, because where is he? Just roaming the castles of Winterfell?
I will say...
Too expensive.
My favorite scene of that episode was Theon just winning that fight.
There you go. Tell me what you did like, because this entire time you did tell me what you hated.
I'm a huge sucker for a good fight scene on a beach, and
oh really? That's what did it for you? The shitty ass Theon? Gosh, I can't wait for him to die. I've wanted him to die many seasons ago.
Yeah, no, for some reason
Theon
I identify with that character a lot.
Why?
Because
I torture you.
Because he's a confused character who doesn't know where he belongs, and he tried to appease both sides, and everybody rejected him.
Oh, Oh, don't say things like that. It makes me sad. I don't like it.
Yeah, because he's trying his best, and he got tortured for it, and he got tired of it and ran away. That's like that whole like PTSD. We got to remember, like that was just maybe 3 months ago of him getting tortured.
Nah, it was longer. Had to have been, but who knows?
Yeah,
no one knows.
I
No one
don't know
knows the
what the
timer.
timeline of
So,
the show
so you
is.
identify.
It could have been 2 weeks ago. It could have been 3 years.
He healed up quickly. It was 2 weeks ago. So are you saying you identifying mostly with Theon?
Yeah, well, to a certain
the
extent.
show?
Because I just like a character who gets beaten all the time.
Or
And
you
then,
just like his character, so you
Yeah.
wouldn't say that you are more like Theon.
No. But it's a character that I find easily identifiable and relatable in a sense. Like
Because he's swayed so easily.
I don't know if he's swayed
Yeah, he
easily.
is.
Well, I mean, he's tortured a lot, so I mean, I don't know if I could blame him on that. But just that fight scene, it's truly an underdog who's trying to do the right
I
thing.
see, like the whole underdog approach.
Yeah.
So what did you think about John accepting his apology? Or accepting him and no longer being murderously angry?
I think that's just John showing that he just needed some time to kind of get over the fact that, he was tortured and he did set Sansa free, and he's acknowledging that Theon's trying. Mm-hmm. Regardless of how shitty he keeps screwing up.
A little bit.
Yeah, but he is trying at certain points, and that's why when he's like, I have to go get my sister, she was the only one who went for me, I have to go get her.
Right.
And what are you doing here? Like, I think
Where the
that's...
hell is she?
With Euron, probably.
Yeah, but he's supposedly sailing to Essos.
Yeah, so this might be the best opportunity if she's trapped over in Pike.
Oh, okay. Possibly.
So that's me guessing where she is.
So, okay. I hear what you're saying about Theon. So if you could be any character, or who do you think that you would be in the show based on their character personalities? The show, not the book, because I can't go back and forth with you on that.
I thought it was super funny when you asked me who my favorite character was on Game of Thrones, and I said Hot Pies.
Yeah, I didn't know who it was.
He shows up this season to tell Arya.
I remembered.
Yeah.
I remembered him after. I think because I didn't pay attention to whenever they referred to him by his name, Hot Pie, in the show, that I didn't know that was his name, but I didn't know the character. So, okay, so you're sticking with Hot Pie.
Yeah, because he's kind of just a lovable oaf who, worst case scenario, he freezes in the winter with everybody else. Best case scenario,
pies,
he's making
man.
pies. You know what's
I
funny?
haven't seen your pie making skills if that's the case.
You know what? That's because it's a secret. I'm a secret hot pie. But I just...
Give me your pies, do it.
I really love the idea that the actual actor is opening a bakery, and that bakery is Game of
Nice.
Thrones themed.
That's super cool.
So that's
Way
what I
to
found.
capitalize on that.
Yeah, I know.
Whatever your real name is.
But yeah, I'm just trying to be real, because I don't think I'd be a guy who would actively go out against other people who have pointy things trying to kill me.
That's true. You're not really the warrior type.
I'm not really one to like, yeah, let's see those guys with a bunch of spears. Let's go right at them.
Yeah. So upon thinking about that, I could definitely see you as Hot Pie as well.
I'm just a guy who's like, you want a hot pie? Sweet, here you go.
Or at the least one of those merchants that just, has like the rickshaw. They're just like roaming around selling goods.
If I was to be put in any type of war scenario, it would be, what's his name? The Onion Knight.
Oh, okay.
Because he said himself, I'm not that great of a swordsman.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go down trying, at least a little bit.
Okay. I'm not sure which character I would be on the show. This is based on my personality, and I can definitely say a few characters who I would possibly identify with, but I don't think I could pinpoint a character that is most like myself.
I'm trying to think of one.
It's probably a blend.
Yeah.
It's most likely a blend. Because I can see a little bit of Sansa, as much as I would hate to admit it, of how she admitted herself that she's a slow learner. But she does learn.
Yeah, what?
Yeah. That's a little bit of myself. I'm a slow learner, but I do learn. And I would hope to be as badass as Arya, or if we're just talking about the Stark children.
Mhm.
But I would probably more so be like Bran. Out of all of
Bran?
them, yeah, just sitting in a chair, having visions of shit.
Hey, did you guys check out my chair? It's got wheels on it. Only took thousands of years of innovation for us to figure out how to do a wheelchair.
Working into animals, doing weird mystical spirit shit.
Taking over birds.
Yeah, or I would probably be Melisandre, just like inaccurately.
Oh,
I
saw that totally wrong.
Yeah, just like inaccurately seeing shit. Probably me all the way.
I've never resurrected anybody
with a little
before.
Bit of Sansa.
I'm gonna try this out, see how it goes.
Yeah. It's like I'm a slow learner, but I do learn. Fuck that one up so bad. Hope they don't notice. Except that like having a a death baby come out of me, and
That's so like you.
And and physically being 1,000 years old.
So like Dove.
If we take those parts out.
The three-eyed dove.
Yeah. I have a little bit of Melisandre, a little bit of Bran, a little bit of Sansa.
It's a good mix.
Yeah, it's a good mix. Probably some other ones, but I can't think of them now. How long have we been talking? Has it been 3 hours?
Just about.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess
I'm sure I have some other points
final thoughts
that I thought of that I wanted to mention, but I guess we can just leave it at that. I'm excited about the next season, how they're going to finalize everyone's storyline and pull everything together. I don't know who's going to end up on the throne. Obviously, Jon or Dany has to die, and since Jon already died, it's probably going to be Daenerys, because so many people are rooting for her. She's got so much power. She's a very lovable character. She's got a lot of power with her dragons and her armies, but she's emotionally vulnerable, and she generally wants to do good by people. And a character like that probably won't make it to what she sees as her destiny, which is sitting on the Iron Throne. And even one of the guys she was banging, the one who's the leader of the Second Sons.
Oh, Dario.
Yeah, Dario. Even he said, you're not meant to sit on an iron throne. You're meant to conquer. And so she's already been around to all of these different places, setting her stamp there, hopefully making it a slightly better place than it was before she was there. Mm-hmm. And maybe that'll just be it for her.
I just like how the whole Iraq experience happened to her. She took out the ones in power, and then ISIS showed up.
Yeah.
Wasn't a great thing that happened, and I'm hoping she took away good lessons from that. I honestly don't know how this series will end, because suppose they obviously take out the Night King. Great. Then they still have Cersei down there. She's got to die by one of her brothers. Great.
Yeah.
So, two of those things have to happen.
Yeah. This whole throne thing just may not even...
I had a thought.
Yeah, it may not even end up as that, because there's just been too much emphasis on it. That is too easy for someone to end up sitting on the throne. Maybe wrong, but, perhaps that shit's just going to be too destroyed.
It also feels like 75% of the population has died. Because there's no one anywhere.
They just ran out of budget. It's a lot to have dragons in every episode, which is why Ghost isn't in there.
Just those dragons alone just probably burned the rest of the population.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know, there's no one left. So my thought is they just get rid of the whole emperor king government system, and they actually enact a real constitution.
Maybe.
That would be the weirdest. What would be great?
Maybe.
Is if we had a president, not a king.
Who knows? I mean, this could be so catastrophic that it could end up turning into something like that. It has to take something that destroys everything that everyone has ever known, because they've lived with kings sitting on the Iron Throne, and sometimes queens, for centuries. And so perhaps the Night King coming down and taking out the majority of the houses and the population.
The Night King introduces capitalism?
Yeah. Exactly. Good thoughts. Man. Good thoughts.
All right. Well, that's Night King for you.
all the way.
All right.
So, if you guys have any thoughts or want to drop us a line, you can send that to uncouth.tangents@gmail.com. Hit us up. Let us know your thoughts.
So don't forget to like and subscribe on iTunes or where we get your podcasts. And we're on Twitter at Uncouth Tangents. You can like us on Facebook. And we're on YouTube as well, where you can find our older episodes.
Thanks for listening to the show. See you next time.
All right. Well, good night, King.